Have you ever thought about the subtle dynamics of power that govern our lives every single day? It's fascinating, isn't it? The way power ebbs and flows, shapes and molds, and has a profound impact on our relationships, opportunities, and overall life journey. Indeed, power is a force that, when understood and harnessed, can change the trajectory of our lives. Now imagine that there were a set of laws, rules if you will, that could guide you through the labyrinth of power, helping you navigate its complex corridors. Enter the 48 Laws of Power, a masterful compendium that offers a unique lens to perceive and understand the world of power. This book, penned by Robert Greene, is a modern manual of power that draws from timeless wisdom, historical events, and the lives of power players throughout history. It's not just about power in the traditional sense, like political or corporate dominance, but about the power dynamics that permeate our everyday interactions and relationships. And today we're going to focus on the very first of these laws, a principle so fundamental yet so often overlooked. Never outshine the master. It's a law that, when misunderstood, can lead to disastrous consequences, but when applied correctly, can elevate our standing and lead us to success. The relevance of this law extends far beyond the pages of the book. It's not constrained to the realm of grand strategy and high-stakes power plays. No, it's something that influences our day-to-day lives. Think of your workplace, your social circle, even your family dynamics. The law of never outshine the master is at work, subtly shaping the outcomes of our interactions. So, are you ready to delve into the world of power, to uncover its secrets, and to learn how to maneuver its intricate pathways? It's a journey that will enlighten, challenge, and ultimately empower you. Let's dive into the first law and see how it plays out in our lives. The first law of power, never outshine the master, may sound quite intriguing. So, what does it actually mean? Let's dive into the depths of this profound principle. At its core, the first law of power refers to the delicate balance of power dynamics, particularly in relationships involving a master or superior and an apprentice or subordinate. The law suggests that while it's crucial to display competence, it's equally important to ensure that your abilities or achievements do not overshadow those of the person in a higher position. Sounds simple, right? But the nuances of this law are what make it truly fascinating. Consider a scenario in a workplace setting. An ambitious employee, eager to impress, outperforms their manager in a significant project. While this may initially seem like a victory, the law warns that such actions could potentially backfire. The manager, feeling threatened by the employee's competence, may react defensively, leading to a strained relationship and possible hindrances in the employee's career progression. This example brings us to the crux of the law. It's not about suppressing your talents or abilities. Rather, it's about understanding the dynamics of power and positioning yourself strategically within them. It's about demonstrating your competence and value while ensuring you do not provoke insecurity or envy in those above you. Intriguingly, this law carries wisdom that transcends professional environments. It is applicable in various aspects of life, from personal relationships to social interactions. For instance, in a friendship, consistently outshining your friend may breed resentment, straining the bond. The first law of power, therefore, teaches us the art of subtlety and discretion. It encourages us to showcase our abilities, but with a level of finesse that prevents us from threatening those in power. It's about maintaining a balance, being competent enough to be valuable, yet not so brilliant as to become a threat. But what happens when this law is ignored? The consequences could range from mild to severe, depending on the situation. In a corporate setting, ignoring this law could lead to being sidelined or even losing your job. In a personal relationship, it could result in conflict, resentment, or the dissolution of the relationship. It's important to note, however, that this law is not a call to mediocrity or subservience. It's not about dimming your light, but rather about understanding when, where, and how brightly to let it shine. It's about mastering the art of navigating power dynamics with tact and wisdom. In essence, the law is about understanding and respecting the hierarchy of power. It's about recognizing the importance of subtlety and strategic positioning in our interactions and relationships. And above all, it's about balance. The balance between demonstrating our abilities and respecting the power dynamics at play. Remember, it's not just about what you do, but how you do it. History is filled with instances where this law has been blatantly ignored, leading to disastrous consequences. Let's take a trip back in time and examine a few of these instances. We'll start with the grand courts of the Ming dynasty. Zhu Di, the Yongle emperor, was a classic example of someone who outshone his master. Originally, his older brother was set to become the emperor, but Zhu Di, with his ambitious and charismatic nature, overshadowed him. He initiated a coup, seized the throne, but his reign was marred by rebellion and strife. His audacious attempt to outshine the master led to a challenging reign and set a precedent for future power struggles within the dynasty. Now let's shift our focus to the Western world, to the court of King Louis XIV. The Sun King, as he was often referred to, was a master of power. He was well aware of the first law and made sure no one would outshine him. But Nicolas Fouquet, the superintendent of finances, didn't heed this law. He built the magnificent Château de Vaux-le-Vicomte, an estate that outshone even the king's own palace. This audacious display of power and wealth did not sit well with the king. As a result, Fouquet was arrested and spent the rest of his life in prison. Again, the attempt to outshine the master led to a downfall. Fast forward to the 20th century, we see the famous case of Leon Trotsky in the Soviet Union. Trotsky was a brilliant orator and a key player in the Russian Revolution. However, his charisma and popularity began to outshine Joseph Stalin, the man in power. Trotsky's disregard for the first law of power led to his eventual exile and assassination. These instances litter history, crossing cultural and temporal boundaries. From ancient China to modern Russia, the principle remains the same. When subordinates attempt to outshine those in power, the results are often disastrous. Now, it's essential to understand that the first law of power doesn't discourage ambition or striving for excellence. Instead, it advises prudence and respect for established hierarchies. It's a reminder to be aware of the power dynamics at play and to navigate them wisely. It's also crucial to note that these historical cases are not just about political power. They apply to any situation where there's a clear hierarchy, from corporate boardrooms to classrooms. The first law of power is universal, and its violation can lead to downfall regardless of the context. So, as we delve deeper into the 48 laws of power, remember these historical instances. They serve as potent reminders of the importance of respecting the established order of power. They're cautionary tales that underscore the wisdom of the first law: never outshine the master. These historical instances serve as potent reminders of the importance of respecting the established order of power. You might be wondering, does this law hold any relevance in today's world? Let's delve into that. The first law of power, never outshine the master, isn't confined to the pages of history. It's very much alive and kicking in the modern day, shaping the dynamics in various aspects of our lives. Take corporate settings, for instance. In the corporate world, hierarchy is key, and knowing one's place in that hierarchy is crucial. Whether you're in a meeting room brainstorming the next big idea, or working on a project with your team, it's important to remember that you should never outshine your boss. That doesn't mean you should suppress your talents or ideas, but rather present them in a way that doesn't threaten your superior's position. In fact, the most successful people are those who can make their bosses look good. They understand that their success is tied to their boss's success. So they work diligently and innovatively, but always ensure their boss remains in the limelight. This balance is often the difference between climbing the corporate ladder and remaining stuck in the same position. But the relevance of this law doesn't stop at the office. It extends to the world of politics as well. Politicians, often seen as masters of manipulation, use this law to their advantage. They surround themselves with advisors who are highly competent, yet understand the importance of not outshining their leader. A political advisor who overshadows their boss could find themselves out of favor, or worse, out of a job. Now, let's bring it closer to home in our interpersonal relationships. Friendships, familial relationships, romantic partnerships, all these dynamics can be influenced by this law. Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable it can become when one person in a group constantly takes the spotlight, leaving others feeling overshadowed? Or when a partner in a relationship constantly outdoes the other, creating a sense of insecurity and imbalance? It's because even in our personal lives, we instinctively understand this law and respond to it. This law is not about suppressing others or limiting your own potential. It's about understanding power dynamics and using them to your advantage. It's about knowing when to shine and when to let others take the spotlight. It's about balance, respect, and strategic thinking. As we navigate our way through life, we'll come across countless situations where this law comes into play. And those who understand and apply this law effectively are often the ones who succeed. Just like a chess game, knowing when to make your move and when to hold back can often determine the outcome. The first law of power is a tool, a strategy to be used wisely and not a rule set in stone. Understanding this law is the first step towards mastering the game of power. As we can see, the law holds as true today as it did centuries ago. Now, it's crucial to understand what this law does not imply. Our journey through the first law of power has been enlightening, but it's equally important to address the misconceptions that often cloud its true essence. One common misinterpretation is the belief that this law encourages subservience. It's easy to assume that never outshine the master means you should always stay in the shadows, suppress your talents, and never strive to be the best. This couldn't be further from the truth. This law is not about promoting mediocrity or stifling ambition. It's about understanding context, picking your moments, and showcasing your abilities tactfully. After all, power is not just about standing in the spotlight. It's about knowing when to step aside and let others take center stage. Another common fallacy is that this law suggests you should always agree with your superior, never challenging their ideas or decisions. Again, this is a gross misinterpretation. The first law of power does not advocate for blind compliance. Rather, it pushes for strategic disagreement. It's about expressing your thoughts and ideas in a way that doesn't threaten the ego of the person in power. It's about being diplomatic with your dissent, making sure your voice is heard without overshadowing the authority of the master. There's also the misconception that this law encourages duplicity and deceit. Some may interpret never outshine the master as a call to hide your true intentions, to pretend to be less competent or less ambitious than you really are. But the first law of power is not a guide to deception. It's a lesson in subtlety and diplomacy. It's about balancing your desire for recognition with the need to maintain harmonious relationships. It's about navigating the power dynamics in a way that benefits you without undermining others. The first law of power, never outshine the master, is frequently misunderstood as a call to play small, to hide your light under a bushel. But it's important to remember that this law is not about dimming your light. It's about understanding the dynamics of power and knowing when and how to shine. So, when you think about this law, don't imagine it as a chain holding you back. Instead, see it as a strategic guide teaching you when to advance and when to hold back, when to shine and when to let others do so. It's about playing the game of power with intelligence and finesse. Don't let these misinterpretations cloud your understanding of the first law of power. It's not about subservience, blind compliance, or deceit. It's about tact, subtlety, and strategic thinking. It's about understanding the dynamics of power and using them to your advantage. Remember, it's not about dimming your light, but knowing when to let others shine. So how can we apply this law in our everyday life? Well, the first law of power, never outshine the master, may seem a bit abstract, but it has practical applications in our lives. It's all about understanding and navigating power dynamics, whether it's at work, in our social circles, or even at home. Let's start with the workplace. It's not uncommon for us to want to prove our worth, to show off our skills and knowledge, but remember, it's crucial to do so without overshadowing those above you. This doesn't mean you should underperform or hold back your abilities. Instead, it's about showcasing your talents in a way that complements your superiors, making them look good as well. It's a delicate balance, but mastering it can lead to harmonious professional relationships. Moving on to social settings, you may have a friend who's a charismatic leader in your group. While it's natural to want to shine, be cautious of stealing their limelight. Support their initiatives, contribute to their ideas, but let them have their moment. This not only fosters a positive friendship, but also positions you as a valuable team player. And what about at home? Let's say your partner is a fantastic cook. Instead of trying to outdo them, why not appreciate their skills, learn from them, or better yet, offer to be their sous chef? This allows you to participate and shine, but not at their expense. Remember, the goal is not to suppress your shine, but to let it glow in a way that illuminates others too. It's about understanding the power dynamics, recognizing the masters in our lives, and ensuring we don't outshine them. This is not about being subservient, but about being strategic with our actions and interactions. By understanding and applying this law, we can navigate our relationships and environments more effectively. So as we journey through life, let's keep this law in mind and use it to build stronger, more harmonious relationships. After all, power is not just about shining the brightest, but about shining together. Let's take a moment to recap what we've learned about the first law of power. Diving deep into the first law, never outshine the master, we've unearthed its essence and importance. It's fundamentally about understanding and respecting the dynamics of power and hierarchy. It's about recognizing who holds the reins and ensuring that we navigate skillfully within these boundaries, always keeping our ambitions in check. We've also journeyed back in time, exploring historical instances that bring this law into focus. The timeless tales of courtiers and kings, of disciples and masters, have served as vivid illustrations. They've shown us how the disregard of this law led to downfall, while its astute understanding led to prosperity. Fast forwarding to the present, we've seen how the first law remains as relevant as ever. In our workplaces, in our social circles, and even in our homes, the law echoes. It's about being mindful of the light we cast, ensuring it doesn't overshadow those above us. It's about contributing our brilliance, not at the expense of diminishing others, but in a way that complements and uplifts them. We've also dissected some common misconceptions. Never outshine the master is not about stifling our talents or dimming our lights. It's not a call to mediocrity. Instead, it's a guide to strategic brilliance, to shining in ways that enhance our relationships and promote mutual growth. Finally, we've explored how we can apply this law in our everyday life, from the way we interact with our bosses or teachers to how we behave in our friendships. It's about maintaining a balance. It's about expressing our abilities and potential in ways that don't threaten others but inspire them. So, as we navigate the intricate labyrinth of power dynamics in our life, let's keep the first law at the forefront of our minds. It's not just about maintaining power, it's about creating harmony and fostering growth. Remember, never outshine the master is not just a law of power, it's a law of life.